a new Wall Street Journal column, our next guest asks whether the next Democratic nominee for president, whether it's Kamala Harris or someone else, will be able to reset the debate over the economy to focus on the future rather than the inflation of the last few years. Joining us right now is Greg Ebb, chief economics commentator at the Wall Street Journal. And Greg, it's a really interesting question because if you look around the globe, we have seen incumbents kind of getting tossed out by the voters. And a big part of that is the inflation that they've had to live with over the last several years, feeling that even though inflation has come down, prices have not. And that's a big thing you have to live with. Would Kamala Harris, you think, be able to distinguish herself from the incumbent here, whose vice president she is?
I don't see how she can distinguish herself from Biden's record, since she was part and parcel of that record. And the other thing is that, as you pointed out, everywhere in the world, people are just really upset at whoever's in power over inflation, whether or not that inflation was their fault. In Europe, for example, it was a lot of it was because of Putin's invasion of Ukraine, but incumbent governments pay the price. And for that reason, I think it's a real tough situation for Kamala Harris, that the economic malaise out there doesn't have a single cause, which can be easily pinned on this policy, which is going to be changed and so on. And that's why I think that rather than dwelling on the past, it's probably more productive for her to focus on the future and ask, you may be upset about inflation now, but you have to ask the question, under which president will you have more progress on it? And there she can point out the fact that in the last year, inflation has been relatively restrained. Wages are doing better. And then she can kind of pivot and say, look at the stuff that Donald Trump plans to do, like hitting every imported good you buy with a 10% tariff. It strikes me, I'm not a political expert, but it strikes me that's more of a winning argument than trying to defend the past.
Wages and pay. You kind of went through a lot of her potential programs on these things. And again, it's based on someone who's been vice president for 3.5 years, but who was a senator before that. In looking through wages and pay, where do you think she might come down?
Well, when she ran for the presidential primary in 2020, she had a pretty liberal position. She was trying to stake out that sort of left of center presence on issues like Medicare for all, on the Green New Deal and so forth. There's no way she's going to put that forth as her platform now. She's part of the Biden administration. And I think also that those policies did not test well with the public. Now, interestingly enough, Biden did sign into law certain policies that were extremely popular, like the infrastructure law, like the Chips and Science Act to bring back semiconductor manufacturing, like the Inflation Reduction Act to promote electric vehicles. The problem is that people either aren't aware that those laws made a difference to them, or they're not even aware that Biden is responsible for them. It wouldn't be bad if Harris could remind people that this is all the stuff that Biden and Harris have done for them, and there's more of the same waiting for them. And then again, turn the argument back to Trump. Would a trade war with our closest allies really promote the industries that you care about? What about tax cuts? Trump wants to go further in terms of not just extending all the tax cuts he signed into law, but going further, cutting the corporate tax cut. Is that a winning argument for people who are worried about the cost of living?
I mean, you think she's going to run from ending the filibuster to pass a much larger Green New Deal than the Inflation Reduction Act, which I would argue it's not that people don't realize how good they got it with the Inflation Reduction Act. That's a boondoggle and a nightmare for a lot of reasons, and no one should say, God, great job. End filibuster, ban fracking, ban offshore drilling, mandatory gun buyback, civil penalties for crossing the border, not criminal. You glossed left of center Medicare for all to get rid of private insurance. That's just left of center, Greg, to get rid of private insurance. That's a little more. Maybe to some people it's a little left of center. Health care for all illegals. How's that going to be for inflation? How's raising the corporate tax rate to 28% going to be, and raising capital gains to over 45%? I can't. The stuff you're cherry picking that looks pro-business, it's like a ludicrous point of view to me.
Well, a lot of the positions you just named, Joe, she obviously moved away from them once she was part of the Biden administration.
I haven't heard her. She hasn't said, I don't say that anymore. You mean because
the Biden administration's
Okay, go ahead.
Medicare for all was not part of the Biden-Harris administration's push. Expanding the Affordable Care Act was.
She's not president.
Joe, you have an absolutely good point. There's a lot of positions in her past that are very awkward, and how she deals with that could be one of the biggest burdens she'll have over the next 3 or 4 years. It's not uncommon for people to take certain positions and then repudiate those positions. J.D. Vance had very negative views about Donald Trump, and then he said, well, he evolved. And I think that's more or less what Harris has to do here. And I think there might be an opening here in her choice of vice president. So there's kind of a consensus that since she is seen as more left-wing and liberal than Biden, she needs to choose a vice president who sort of like offsets that kind of image, somebody more moderate. On the inflation question, a real point that Republicans have pounded away at Biden repeatedly is their relatively negative attitude towards fossil fuels, notwithstanding the fact that we actually have record oil production, domestic oil production. So Kamala Harris was once for a fracking ban. Biden was not, so we do not have a fracking ban. Having a guy like, say, Josh Shapiro, the Pennsylvania governor, who is manifestly not against fracking, it's very important to his state, on the ticket might help inoculate her from some of those positions.
But less production in many ways can cause higher prices, which then breeds more production. And when you got $3.50 gas instead of $2.30 gas when he came into it, you can have a boom in the oil industry in spite of someone's rhetoric and in spite of their policies. The Biden administration hasn't tried to open up drilling, hasn't done anything with Keystone. I mean, you're not giving them credit for the record production levels, are you?
Well, I'm saying that the facts on the ground, Joe, aren't consistent with this president having terribly.
But things can happen in spite of someone's efforts. I mean, when you say you're going to end the fossil fuel industry, that probably isn't great for capital formation and shareholders and investing in 10-year projects of fossil fuels, Greg. I mean,
Donald Trump also said he was going to pay down the debt. He clearly didn't pay down the debt. He actually presided over very large deficits. Look, Joe, you've been around politics longer than I have. Right. You know that people say a lot of things and they change those positions. And your point is a very good one. One of the reasons Kamala Harris didn't win the nomination 4 years ago is that voters flocked to the more moderate position of Joe Biden.
She didn't make it to Iowa. I know. She was at 1%. I know. It's nice to be able to that's like being born on third. It's kind of parachuting in here without any of the. But that's what's weird, Greg. In the primaries, you need to go left for the base. She doesn't need to do that now, and I think you're right. She's going to pick someone who looks like a moderate Veep, and we're all going to be sort of lulled into this false sense of security that this is a sort of a.
Like Joe, so J.D. Vance was once for a national abortion ban, and now he's not. Now he says leave it to the states, right? So every person, as they move from somebody as their own person to part of a team, they modify those positions. And part of the art of politics is trying to persuade the electorate that this new position is your true position.